Hi, and thank you so much for watching. So this video is going to be a pick a card for what are their sexual fantasies about you specifically. So this can be anyone you have in mind. This can be someone you know. This can be even someone you don't know. This could be someone coming in the near future, maybe someone you haven't met yet. This is someone who you could be getting close to, but you haven't been with yet, or this could even be someone that you are with right now physically, and you just want to know exactly what's inside their head or what they're not telling you. Okay, so this can really apply to anyone on your mind. And yeah, this is what are their sexual fantasies. So we have 4 piles to pick from, and I have 4 candles here. So from left to right, we have blue, pink, black, and orange. So go ahead and pick a pile, and as always, if you feel drawn to more than one, then that's fine. You can look at more piles, whatever you're feeling called to. And otherwise, I'm just gonna go ahead and start with the first pile, pile number 1. So I'm just gonna put this aside. And we're starting with the blue candle here. All right, so let's see how this goes. I've never done this type of reading on camera before, so hopefully it goes well. So remember, this is all inside their head, all in their fantasies, and ultimately it's up to you if you want to make this happen or not. So here we go. So, okay, we're starting with past life relationships. So obviously, I do feel like this is definitely a past life connection. This is someone you have been with physically for sure, not just romantically, like definitely physically with them and in your past lives. And I want to say more than one, multiple past lives, your connection has been very steamy, a lot of chemistry here, and it's just kind of like unforgettable. So if you have not been with this person physically, I feel like your bodies remember each other. So when you do finally come together, it's just gonna feel extremely natural because your bodies have memory inside of them. It's in your DNA, basically. So it will definitely, if you have not yet been together, it will definitely, once it happens, it's going to feel very smooth and natural and definitely not awkward at all. So this person, like when it comes to their fantasies, they think a lot about like the whole past life thing, like the whole idea of like past life relationship just like really turns them on, and they want you to acknowledge that. They want you to come together, and basically they might even want to like pretend that you two are living in a previous life that you had together. They might want to incorporate something from the past, from a previous decade, maybe even from a previous century. They want to really like incorporate that and feel like you two are like past life time travelers here. Okay, so my next card we have here is Death Rites, saying goodbye, formal occasion, honoring lives. Wow. So this is pretty dark. So this person does have like a very, very dark mind when it comes to this stuff, especially with you too. So they, yeah, I'm just like an overall theme of darkness. I don't even know how to get more specific than that. They I think they fantasize about it like being really dramatic. Oh my God. Okay. So I just sort of got an image of like feeling like in their head that like you two are about to say goodbye to each other and like one of you is about to die. And this is like really dark and really deep, but this is just what's coming up. And someone here is, or maybe both of you are about to die and you're just saying to one another like, I'll see you in the next life, like we'll meet together again in our next lives. And this is really just like the fantasy that they have of like having your last embrace with one another before one of you or both of you are about to die, and just having that faith that you're going to reconnect in the afterlife or in the spirit realm or in another life, come back together. So they definitely like fantasize about this being like the last time you're ever together, and just knowing that you're gonna reunite somehow in like another world. So this is pretty dark here. So let's see what the tarot cards have to say. So I'll put this aside. Okay, we have the Empress, the Morning, and this is a unique card in this deck, and the Princess of Torches. And all of these cards came out upright as well. Okay, so with the Empress, the Empress is usually like a mother or a pregnant mother. So they could definitely have a fantasy about just like you getting them pregnant, or if you're a woman, them getting you pregnant. Something about like kind of like a pregnancy fetish basically, and they might not even be ready to have children in real life, or they might not even want children at all, but like this is all just in their head, like total fantasy, but just like someone ends up getting pregnant, and it just that's just what gets them here, the thought of pregnancy here. With the Morning, that also brings me like childlike energy. Like you have the sun here. So yeah, I definitely feel there's something about like getting someone pregnant. Going with the themes of these oracle cards, it can even be like, the man here is about to die, and they want to get the female pregnant. If this is a heteronormative, what's the word? I wanted to say heteronormative. I don't think that's right. I'll just say heterosexual relationship, and the man is about to die and he's going to get the girl pregnant before he dies to make sure that the spirit has that a part of him is like still living on. So wow, I did not expect this. I knew this was going to be a weird reading, so just like go along with it. Princess of Torches just is very fiery, so they definitely like feel a lot of chemistry. They are turned on by confidence and excitement, and they like a lot of communication too, a lot of dirty talk here, and a lot of like speaking with one another, and like actually like saying how much you turn me on, how much I love you, how much blah 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 blah. You know, I'm not gonna say all the examples. Okay, so let's get into the romance tarot. So what do they think romantically? We have the Queen of Pentacles here. So, okay, what else do we have? We have the Six of Swords. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is about transition. So again, I'm getting like transitioning into death. Okay, okay. And then we have the Devil here. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's a very sexual card itself. So obviously lots of sexual energy here, lots of chemistry, feeling like bound to one another, tied to one another. With the Queen of Pentacles here, this could be about like someone here wants to feel very, very spoiled and nourished on a physical level. So they can definitely fantasize about like in this fantasy, you have a lot of money, especially like the feminine here, or the woman or the person here with a lot of feminine energy. They have a lot of money like in this fantasy. Real life is regardless, but like in their dreams, this feminine has a lot of money. So again, whether that's you or them, whoever the feminine is, they are very rich. They have like really nice clothing, and it just gets ripped off. It's just like, it's kind of like, but again with like, and then the Six of Swords, like I said, is like a transition. And then the fact that we have like death and past lives, like, yeah, is this like a strong theme here? Like they're fantasizing about like the final moments before death, which is like super dark here, but like it's just what came up. Okay, so let's go on to what we've been waiting for, the erotic tarot. So we have Six of Chalices here. Okay, so this is like really, this is about like memories and looking back on the past and really thinking about the person or the times you had together or the moment that you had together. So they like the idea of like longing for the past. And I feel like this person is like really just turned on by the thought of like losing you like immediately afterwards and kind of just longing after you and just feeling like kind of turned on by the thought of losing you, which is like really masochistic here. Now we have the Six of Pentacles. So we have 6 here. Four of Pentacles here. Seven of Chalices. King of Pentacles. And Knight of Chalices. Okay, so what can I get from here? Okay, so there's definitely a lot of like the feminine here, like dolling herself up and just like wanting to be like cherished and taken care of and almost kind of like stared at and even sculpted like a statue. And really like she really wants, the feminine here really wants to be like, I want to say watched or just viewed, observed, and just like completely showing off her body. So again, whether this fantasy is coming from a masculine or feminine, whoever this feminine is in the picture is like showing her body off, showing herself off. but she's definitely still a little bit like coy and shy here with this card. And it's like showing off, but not like in a cocky way, kind of like definitely still kind of shy and coy about it, but still just like wanting to show her body off. And then there's also a sense of the masculine here really like kind of struggling, and I feel like he's with this card, he's like really getting into his emotions here, maybe a writer or some type of artist here. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I feel like that's the gist of it. So I hope that reading was like somewhat helpful. If not, if you did not vibe with that reading, then definitely check out another pile. And yeah, this is my first time doing this kind of reading, so sorry if it was a little bit off, but first time for everything, right? Okay. Let's move on to the next pile. And again, if this did not resonate with you, then maybe another pile will feel better. Okay. Now we are moving on to pile number 2, the pink candle. Okay, so we have children. Okay, so in this person's fantasy, they definitely are turned on by the thought of having children with you, maybe the thought of you impregnating them or them impregnating you, depending on what gender this person is or you are. And with this card, definitely like more than one baby, like maybe 2, maybe even more than that, having children together. And even if not children, because I see like dogs in this photo, could be like having pets together, like cats together or dogs together, but just like the thought of you two raising babies or animals together just like really turns them on. And remember, this is a fantasy, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is what they're gonna do or even that they want to do, but like this is something that they just think about deep down, and it just gets them excited. The next card, that death will come, mortal, finite, fragile. Okay, wow. So this already feels very similar to the first pile that I pulled. So because that pile had to do with both having children together, and there was also like this death fantasy too, which was like really dark, and now it's popping up again for this pile too. So I mean, I'll say what I said in the first pile too if you also want to check that out, but like basically the thought of having a really passionate embrace with one another before one of you is about to die, or like before you're about to die or they're about to die or both of you are about to go, and just the thought of like that final moment together is just something that really excites them. Just like the whole fantasy of that, like your final passionate moment together before death, which is like super dark, I know, but that's just what's coming up. So this is like already very similar to the first pile. So let's see what the tarot cards say. Maybe they can give us something a little different. We have King of Pentacles. Okay, so there could definitely be a fantasy that whoever the masculine here is, that they have a lot of money or they have a lot of power too, or some type of wealth, even emotional wealth. It doesn't have to be financial. The Four of Cups. Okay, so this card is about like being very shy and sort of not really sure if you want to take an opportunity or not. So in their fantasies, they definitely like the idea of either you or them just kind of shying away or just kind of being unsure about if this is something you actually want to do or not. So they like the idea of someone here being very shy. And Princess of Swords. So this is very kind of contradictory to this card because this card is very much like just going for it. So I think this person really likes the thought of like maybe the both of you are like very hesitant, very unsure, and then you just go for it. Or one person here specifically is like very shy and very like holding themselves back, and then all of a sudden you just like can't take it anymore because you have been holding back for so long. The King of Pentacles too also has a lot of self-control too. So I feel like in this person's fantasy, it starts out very much self-controlled, self-contained, and then it's like you just can't take it anymore, and all of a sudden you just go for it and you're just like completely focused on one another and basically drown out all the distractions in the world. So now we're going to look at the romantic tarot. King of Wands, Six of Wands, and Six of Pentacles. So we have two sixes here. So, okay, so we have two kings here. So there could definitely be like, okay, so in this fantasy, definitely the masculine here has a lot of power. Whatever this is, I feel like there's someone who's very confident. They might have a lot of money or just like a very high social status or a lot of fame here, a lot of recognition. Yeah, I feel like this person here, I want to say the masculine, but it could go either way in this fantasy. Someone here has like a lot of fame, a lot of recognition, and the other person here is like just very insecure and they feel very much like a lower status compared to the other person. So, and again, this could have nothing to do with real life, but just like in the fantasy, I feel like the masculine here has a lot of power, and I feel like the feminine here is very intimidated by that, and she's more of like the shy one here, more of like the hesitant one here, but then she kind of slowly builds up the confidence, which allows her to just go for it. Okay, so now we are going to get into the erotic tarot. The High Priestess. Okay, so this is a very spiritual card, so there's definitely like a sense of someone being very spiritual in this fantasy. Also, the High Priestess is like very kind of shy and keeps to herself. So again, I feel like in this fantasy, the feminine energy here is like super shy and super closed off and keeping to herself because she feels like very intimidated by the masculine. Okay, we have the Eight of Chalices too. Yeah, you could see like in this picture too, the feminine is really like kind of pushing him away, and she's very unsure of herself here. The Ten of Pentacles. Okay, there can definitely be something about like being out in the woods too, being out in nature, being outside, out in public. The moon here, so we have the sign of Cancer here too. This could even be like also out in nature, out at the beach too. Also like in the forest, but also like here out at the beach. Sex on the beach, in the moonlight, at nighttime too. And possibly like with another couple there too. The Hermit. Okay. So we have someone watching here. Okay. So this is also Virgo energy here too, if you have a Virgo you're dealing with too. So this can either be, I feel like, okay, so this can also speak of like just someone being like really shy in this connection. Or it could be just like specifically like wanting other people to watch or to see it, because we have like multiple people coming up here. And then we have the Emperor. So, okay, never mind. I thought this was the Empress for a second. This does look like the Empress, right? But we have the High Priestess and the Emperor. So that's almost a couple here, right? That's pretty close. The Emperor, again, is like very strong masculine energy. Okay, so yeah, whatever is going on in this fantasy, I feel like the masculine has a lot of power and control, and he's basically just dominating over the feminine, who is very shy, very weak, and very unsure of herself here. Okay, and that is all I have for pile 2. So thank you for watching. And if you did not vibe with this pile, then maybe check out a different one. And also, this was my first time doing this type of reading, so I was definitely kind of a little bit awkward with it. I hope I did okay. Okay. Now moving on to pile 3. So you chose the black candle here. All right, what is their sexual fantasy? Oh, you have trust. That's really sweet here. So in their fantasy, it's basically the two of you completely trusting one another and having each other's back. And they definitely fantasize of being with a person who they can completely count on, and they know for sure that there's no betrayal going on behind their back. And if they are specifically fantasizing about you, they just imagine this scenario where they have nothing to worry about. There's no drama getting in the way. There's no one who can kind of steal them, because a lot of people out there are just really turned on by drama and the thought of someone betraying them, or the thought of like stealing another person's partner, but like definitely not with this pile. They are just really turned on by the idea of someone they can trust. So that's really sweet here. And then we have primal, connecting deep within, sacred dance instinct. So this fantasy here is like very wild, super wild. They might even like, I'm getting like belly dancing or something, or some kind of like ecstatic trance here, some type of like dancing, or like just singing out and screaming and shouting and really just like going crazy, and just being in a place, like definitely being in a place where you can both trust each other so much that you can let go like 200% with each other, and really just let out the primal and crazy part of yourself, and you don't have to worry about getting judged for it too. Like in this fantasy, either you or them or both of you can just be like really loud and just wild and maybe dancing around, moving around, like squirming and kicking around and just like literally like acting like a wild animal. But it's like you don't, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, is this person gonna think I'm like weird, or is this person like you don't have to control yourself when you're with this person. You can like literally let go completely, and it's just gonna both, you're just gonna turn each other on that way. Like you don't have to, like there's literally no judgment within this connection. In their fantasy, you can just like just let go. Okay, let's see what the tarot cards have to say. Seven of Swords reverse. Okay, so this card is about like being really honest with one another. So this also goes with trust. So just like having that deep level of letting go with each other and knowing that like they're not going to cheat on you, they're not going to gossip about you, they're not going to judge you. Like you two in their fantasy, like you're both just honest with each other and there's no worries here. The moon reverse, this is also about like being very honest and revealing your secrets to one another too. And they also like have the fantasy of like you coming to them and like telling you their absolute most deepest darkest secrets and telling you things that they have never told anyone else because they are scared that people are going to judge them for it, and they just come to you and they're completely open and honest. And yeah, that's really sweet. Like that's like trust is what turns this person on the most. It's just being like open and honest with each other. And then strength. So having like there's a sense of dignity here. Like even when you let go and you're like totally your primal self, like they still see you as like a human. So like being able to like see each other as both a wild animal, a wild beast, and also a very dignified and respectable person at the same time. So having both of that. We also have Cancer and Leo here too for zodiac signs. Okay, so let's see what the romance cards have to say. We have the Fool. Okay, so this person in their fantasy, like you two can just be literally fools around one another. They could also have a deep fantasy about like the first time that you're together, or like this being like your first time or their first time, or just like something about like the first, like whether it's the first person you've been with or like the first time you've done certain things in certain ways. I don't know, but there's a sense of newness here in their fantasy. So whether that aligns with reality or not, this is just something that they think about and dream about. And yeah, just kind of like completely, again, with the feeling of having like total faith and trust in one another, and there is absolutely no fear of judgment in this dream of theirs. We have the 10 of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so in this fantasy, they dream about like putting a lot of work into this relationship that you have with one another. Mm, okay, so they definitely like fantasize about like literally physically exhausting one another. So once you're done with your passionate embrace, the two of you are like so tired and so exhausted that like you're just totally drained. You can't move. You just like fall right asleep. Like this passionate time together is just completely exhausting, completely tiring, and totally drains you with this card. And then with the Knight of Pentacles, this is like just being able to talk to each other, and they could definitely fantasize about like having a really deep commitment together too. So yeah, I feel like in this specific fantasy, the two of you really have something stable with one another, and it's not like they don't really dream about being with a total stranger or being with like just like hooking up for the hell of it. Like they definitely dream about being with someone who they can count on, someone who's like very reliable too. Okay, so now let's get into the erotic tarot. We have the Ace of Swords. Okay, so this person definitely has some tying up here, definitely thoughts of tying up, someone being tied down here. It also looks like in this card that the feminine energy is more of the dominant one here too. So that can also apply kind of like traditional gender role reversals or switching. 10 of Chalices. So this is like total emotional fulfillment with one another. It also looks like the feminine is really longing deeply after the masculine. And again, there's like a sense of trust here. Temperance, we've got some Sagittarius energy. So this is like a very experimental card. So yeah, also in this fantasy, they just dream about doing things that they have never done before in real life. It could definitely be some very like strange things too. Knave of Wands. So they in their dreams, you're very like you're speaking to one another like very romantically, very emotionally too. You're very open and honest about each other's emotions. Also, the masculine here is very fixated on the chest area too, so that can also apply. The Hierophant. Okay, so in this card we do have two women here and one man. Okay, so that can definitely be a part of their fantasy, having two women here with one man. Hierophant, though, the meaning of this card is also like commitment too. So there's also a theme here of like having an actual commitment with one another, like besides just sexual here. And then the King of Wands. So we have some trees here too, so they could definitely like dream about like being outside too. And we have like, I feel like there's definitely like dominant masculine energy here, but then we also sort of have some dominant feminine energy. So I feel like the dominance can definitely switch. It can definitely go kind of back and forth. It can sort of be like a power balance. And yeah, especially like with the Temperance card going back and forth. So I feel like in their fantasies, you basically switch back and forth between like who is more dominant versus who is more submissive, whether it's masculine or feminine energies. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope if you did not vibe with that pile, then definitely check out another pile. So this is also my first time doing this type of reading, and I feel like I am getting better as the readings go on. So definitely, like, as I do this more, I'm like, okay, I'm sort of getting the hang of this now. Okay. Okay, and last pile of all, and last but not least, we have pile number 4, which is this orange candle here. So we're going to look at what are their fantasies. What are their sexual fantasies? True love. Okay, so in this person's fantasy, they definitely imagine being with the love of their life. So whether that is you or just the concept in general of being intimate with someone who they are in love with. So when it comes to their sexual fantasies, they definitely involve love in it. It's not like 100% physical. It's definitely like more than that. Now we have rebellion, upstart, tumult, revolution. So a few messages from this card. So one could just be that they fantasize about like a very unconventional type of relationship, or if not even relationship, just like physical connection with someone. So, which is, I was also kind of thinking like with the color orange, because the color orange is kind of about like being different and unique. So I feel like this person fantasizes about being with someone who is just like very, yeah, very different and unique, as I just said. Someone who like does not really fit the mold of society, someone who is, yeah, just kind of like a rebel when it comes to society in general. And this could also have to do with like fantasizing about being someone who is just not their typical type, someone who, if they've been with multiple people, or if they've had like, you know, like multiple partners or even like crushes, like this person in their ultimate fantasy is someone who is like totally unexpected, not like anyone else they've ever really been with in real life. So yeah, just something about like very different. Okay, so we have the sun. Okay, we have Leo energy here. So there can definitely be like, I feel like there's a lot of playfulness and positivity and a sense of youthfulness in their fantasy. So even regardless of this person's age, whether they're older or younger, in their fantasies of theirs, they are basically young at heart, and the both of you are just like connected with, I don't want to use the term inner child in this type of reading, but like very connected with like their youthfulness, like their silliness, and like they just feel young again in this. And like I said, regardless of age, just like in this fantasy, they just feel very young and just free spirited and kind of like invincible and limitless here, and just like a lot of laughing too, like a lot of laughter between the two of you, a lot of smiling too. This is definitely not, I have to say the first two piles I pulled were like very dark, and I feel like this is different than that. This is more like just having like a really good time together and like laughing and playing with each other and being really silly with one another too in this fantasy. Three of Torches reverse. So there could be something about like waiting and patience or impatience. And I feel like there's a sense of like excitement and yeah, between the two of you, just like total excitement and giddiness and giggling and laughter. Princess of Pentacles. So the Princess of Pentacles, I feel like in their fantasy, they kind of feel like a new student here. So yeah, I'm getting like this like youthful, like I kind of like childish energy here, but like just kind of connecting with like the more free spirited and kind of like naive and curious part of themselves here. So, yeah, it's a very like curious type of energy where you're like learning something, or they are in this fantasy here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the romance cards. We have the Three of Wands, okay, so which is literally the Three of Torches. So we have a double card here. So there's a sense of like waiting here. We also have the feminine who has like three different masculines running after her. So also in this fantasy, it could be like if this person is the feminine here, they could dream about like having multiple people trying to chase after them. And if this person you're thinking of as the masculine, they could dream about kind of like having to fight for you, like having to deal with all of this competition and like being the one who wins you over. So take it as it resonates for masculine, feminine energy. And yeah, there's a sense of waiting too, again. So I feel like in their fantasy, this is like the moment that they've been waiting for. Like it's not just impulsive. It's like something they've had to really wait for a very long time. Okay, now we have the Hanged Man. We have some Pisces energy here. So again, with waiting too, this is also like about waiting and also about surrender too. And of course, I have to say someone here maybe likes to be tied up or tying someone up or literally getting hung upside down, or like the Spider-Man kiss where the guy is upside down. And yeah. So, but again, there's like a theme of like waiting. So in their fantasy, it could be like they really had to wait for you or like for this person. It could also be like they're so close to getting there and then they have to stop and then they have to wait and then it builds up again, but then they have to stop and wait and kind of like that, if you get me. Now we have the five of chalices. No, five of swords. Okay. We have the Five of Swords here. So this is like sadness here. So in this fantasy of theirs, interesting, there's a lot of like, this is kind of like mind games here too. So I kind of feel like someone here, remember, not in real life, but like in this fantasy, someone is being like really kind of sneaky and sort of trickster energy. But I feel like with the sun here, this is very like not such a negative thing. Like this is almost kind of like childish energy, like someone kind of definitely a lot of teasing. Okay, I get it now. There's a huge emphasis on teasing, and this is in their fantasy too. So either this person like really likes the thought of you or anyone in general just like teasing them and just making them wait and then giving them a little bit and then making them wait again and then a little bit more and then just wait and like breadcrumbing. Or it could be vice versa, where this person likes the thought of making you wait for them and they like the thought of breadcrumbing you and giving you a little bit and then just like backing off and maybe even like, yeah, maybe even like ghosting you for a little and then coming back to you, and kind of like this back and forth energy. Someone here really likes the thought of teasing, whether it's you or them or whoever doing the teasing. But yeah, that's the strong message I get from here. So now let's get into the erotic tarot. We have Judgment. Okay, and we also, oh my god, okay, so this is like a really weird card, but we also have like we have a lot of tying up, which is like similar to this card too. So we have some tying up again, but Judgment is about like a second chance too. So this person likes the thought of like having a second chance here. So yeah, again with like the thought of teasing and like going back and forth and then coming back to someone after there's been like a long pause and a long break between the two of you. And this is also a very spiritual card, so they could also be very spiritual in their fantasy. The Two of Wands. So with the wands here, there's a lot of chemistry, there's a strong physical connection here. The thought of like thinking about the future really turns them on, fantasizing about the future, what the future is going to bring. Two of Pentacles, someone here really likes to show off the bottom here. So if this is the masculine, they definitely fantasize about your butt, or they just love butts in general, just staring at it, grabbing it, about to grab it, the suspense before they grab it. And if this person is the feminine, they love having their butt stared at. They love having it grabbed and adored and chased after. The Three of Swords. Okay, so this person, and this kind of reminds me of this card here, this person does sort of like the thought of, I almost want to say they sort of like the thought of a love triangle, but at the same time, we have this trust here. So I don't want to say like, I kind of want to rephrase that. They like the thought of like, they like the thought of knowing that you have other options, but at the same time knowing that you're only going to pick them and that you don't care about anyone else. So they kind of like the idea of like competitors and like other people going after you, or maybe they like the thought of other people giving them excessive attention and going after them, but like only on the surface level. Like at the same time, they like to know that even though there's a lot of other people here who could get in the way, that none of them actually could, because your level of trust between each other is so strong. Then we have the Five of Swords. So this is the same card as this. So we have a double Five of Swords here. So yeah, this person like really kind of likes the thought of mind games here. So they definitely could have sort of like a trickster kind of side to them, but again, not like in a negative or sinister way, but more of like in a fun and playful way. Again, with like the whole thing of teasing too, and emphasis on the butts here. We have a lot of butt energy going on here. And then lastly, we have Eight of Pentacles. So yeah, what can I say? The final card here. So this kind of speaks to me of like the morning after, or like immediately afterwards, after you two are physical with one another, and just kind of like taking it easy, like relaxing with a cup of tea, and like you have this rose here, like this simple rose, and just kind of like feeling safe with one another. So yeah, this person does, in their fantasy, they like the thought of feeling very safe with someone. And again, they like the thought of knowing that there's competition out there, but also at the same time knowing that like it's just you two at the end of the day. Okay, so that's all I have. So thank you so much for watching. And if you did not vibe with this pile, please check out another pile. And this is my first time doing this kind of reading, so hopefully it went well. And I may try again in the future. Maybe it'll go a little bit better. So I feel like that wasn't too bad, right? Okay. Bye, many blessings, and I send you all my love. Kisses.